Hello, I'm starting my reading vlog before I forget. Because I'm also filming at least one other vlog and another sit down video. And while I have my camera and mic on, we're going to film the intro to this one. I have started reading Project Hail Mary. I am 100 pages in. I am reading this in between all the other books I need to read for other videos, mainly of which consist of graphic novels. So I'll be filming this after I get all of those done. But I started this yesterday. This is just going to be a general reading vlog, I believe, and I'm really enjoying it. I do not know if I'm going to go see this in theaters because by the time I end up going back to Ohio, which is where I like to go to the theaters because they have $5 Tuesdays in my hometown, it's still there. I might go see it when we go within the next 2 weeks. If not, I might wait for it to come to streaming. But I have started this. I do have two other physical books I would like to get to in this vlog. The first being The Measure. I don't know much about this. I found it in a little free library. And then I have Elysium Girls, which is a book that I got when I was in LA last summer at a bookstore. So these are the plan for this vlog, but mainly this one. This one for sure. Welcome to another vlog. I literally don't even have my mic with me, but I feel like I need to document this because we go to the same Aldi that we've been going to for the last 6+ months up here in Detroit. And every single time I come here, the person who is cashing me out feels the need to like comment, but in like a complimentary, like a good way, on something that I buy that's usually like seasonal. And more than once, the person in line behind us has gone back and gone to get whatever it is they complimented because they thought it was cool. And I feel like I have not experienced that many other places where people feel the need to like compliment and talk about like, oh, what's that? It's usually like these taco seasonings or like vegan taco stuff that we usually get while we're here, and this time it was these mango herring fillets. I find it so funny. I realized I filmed a clip with no context because I was in the middle of trying to come back from the grocery store. These are the things I keep getting commented on. If you have an Aldi near you, these are delicious. That I made a lady go back in line and go back for. I also get a lot of comments on these, but it also looks like they might be phasing them out, and I hope that they're not because me and my partner eat these so consistently. That is the context for the things I was talking about in the last clip. If you notice, some of these clips are the same as another video that came out recently. Ignore that because it's too cool for me to change. But I am currently very close to the end of Project Hail Mary, and I don't think I've updated really at all besides the fact that I was going to start it. I've been reading this in between a bunch of my other books that I read for a vlog last week, I believe it will be, by the time this video goes up. And I understand why people like it. It is a solid 4 stars for me, but I also have the last like 100 or so pages left. And I know that's when everybody sobs. I can assume, based on what I read, why everybody is sobbing. But just basic premise of this, more than I even knew going into it, I knew it was a space book. I knew it was about the guy who had to go to space to like save the Earth. Met something in space he didn't expect. That didn't know much more than that. I have seen the trailer for the movie, so I had a little inkling of who he meets in space, or at least what it looked like. But I really like this. I like Andy Weir's writing, but I feel like his type of space books are not the ones that I enjoy when it comes to sci-fi, and I don't know how to explain. Because this is technically First Contact, but it is First Contact in space as opposed to First Contact of an alien coming to Earth. And I think I prefer that version of First Contact. But I do actually like the science in here, which was not the case with The Martian. I could not have cared less about the science in The Martian, which is Andy Weir's other book, but this is a solid 4 stars. I'm liking it more than that one. It reads really fast. Like, I literally was somewhere around here this morning and read that much in 2 hours or so. So it is a fast read. I'm enjoying it. I somewhat understand the hype, and I do think this will make a fantastic movie, but I will come back to you when I have actually finished it, and we will chat more then. I finished almost said The Martian. Project Hail Mary. I finished this last night. I did end up highlighting a lot. Oh, my bookmark is still sitting in there. I ended up highlighting a lot, but I'm not sure that I'm going to add tabs because I'm honestly not sure how I feel about this. I gave it 4 stars. I don't know if this was overhyped or if I just don't understand the hype. Because I remember this being everyone's favorite book for like 3 years running since it came out. I also remember everybody raving about The Martian, and I felt very mediocre about that too. So I don't know if this is a case of this was extremely overhyped in my brain, and that's why I was let down, or if I actually was just not impressed. I also will preface being like, I've read a lot of sci-fi. So I think this also was a first contact in space story that a lot of people liked because it was different for first contact, and also a lot of people who don't normally read a bunch of sci-fi really loved this, or it was one of the first sci-fis they ever really loved. My favorite TV show is Doctor Who. This felt like an episode of Doctor Who to me, but like in a very small scale because it's obviously just 2 beings out in space trying to save their worlds. I gave this 4 stars, like 3.75 4 stars. I don't get the hype. I feel like it was overhyped for me, and I'm a little sad about it because I've heard so many people come out of this sobbing. Might I sob at the actual movie? Maybe. If when I go see that, I will somehow talk about it in a future video on this channel, probably a vlog. But yeah, solid 4 stars. And then I jumped right into The Measure, which I'm actually low-key enjoying more. Which is not how I expected this to go. I'm about halfway. Will I one day actually come in here and talk about a book before reading half of it in one go because I'm a binge reader? Probably not. Maybe. This is very on par for me, especially if I say I know I'm going to read a book next. I will just read without updating, and that is a habit of mine. I apologize. But this is a story about one day everybody wakes up and there is a small wooden appearing box that has a string inside. It appears on every person over the age of 22's doorstep overnight. Nobody knows where they came from. There's no footage of it. They just appeared all over the world. And this follows the perspective, I think, of like 4 or 5, several people and their experiences with it. One of them being like people woke up to get their mail and saw it on their doorstep. Even like homeless people woke up and found it in their encampments. There's like a perspective of a man who was on a plane when this happened, and so it appeared at his home, but he wasn't home and he got home to find it. It's a very interesting premise and reminds me a lot of other sci-fis that I've read. I feel like this is a combination of an absolutely remarkable thing by Hank Green. If you have not read that, it's such a good first contact story with aliens, which in that one, statues of zero known origin pop up all over the world and people are trying to figure out what they are and what they do while there's no footage of it or anything. And also a combination of They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera, which is what would you do if you knew the day that you would die? And the social commentary surrounding that. And as you can see, I am loving the social commentary. Social commentary is half the reason that I like sci-fi books. This one is not necessarily alien in nature. It's more a look at human nature if you knew the day that you would die, and certain governments made it like compulsive that you would check your strings and know how long you were going to die for certain jobs, and like how people would react to that, how people would react in like terror attacks if they knew they were going to die soon, how people would choose or not choose to go to war if they knew that they were going to live a long time. Those type of commentaries are all covered in this, and I'm really enjoying it. I will probably finish it here in the next few hours if we're going to be serious. And then I have at least one more book I want to read for this vlog, and then I might add another one because I'm a little bit ahead of schedule. It's still Sunday, and this doesn't go up until Friday, so I might squeeze in another book. Maybe it'll be the 7th Dungeon Crawler Carl, so I'll be ready for the new release. I will update you on whatever that is later. Hello, I have finished The Measure. As you might be able to tell, I loved it. This reminds me so much of so many of the sci-fi books that I used to read, probably like 5 or so years ago. I definitely took a break from sci-fi when I got on a big romance kick. but I love this so much. I feel like it has so much commentary about like human nature and how people would actually believably react in the situation that little boxes showed up all over the earth at the same time, everywhere, all at once, that told you how long you were going to live, in the way that like scientists would react to like figuring out how to narrow down how long people would probably live. Because that even is the thing that happens in this book. It starts off with them being like, we think we can guess between a few years that you'll probably last until this time. And then they narrow it down as more and more of the world works together with science and scientists and everything. Very similar to how people did with COVID. I feel like this is probably a metaphor for COVID, or just anything that affects all of humanity in many ways. But I loved it. I gave this 5 stars. This has also given me the idea to start filming a sci-fi recommendations. But since I know that Dungeon Crawler Carl is very popular right now, and I'm planning to read the 7th and then the 8th when it comes out in my next vlog, this also made me think of possibly filming a if you like Dungeon Crawler Carl, read this type of thing. Not about ones that are necessarily lit RPGs, because Carl is the only one that I've read of the lit RPG genre, but I feel like I definitely could have a lot of sci-fis. And I know a lot of people who are reading that series don't read a lot of sci-fi. They might watch a lot of sci-fi, but not necessarily read it. And I feel like a lot of sci-fi books go under the radar. It may also include some dystopians in that. We'll see. But that's an idea that is now brewing because of this book. Because this definitely, if you've read They Both Die at the End, is that what it's called? There's 3 of them. There's so many of us. Oh, I think it's They Both Die at the End, the first to die at the end, and then there's a 3rd one that I did not like. But it's very similar to that one, in which you know when you're going to die, except you have in this one a lot longer to combat that fact. With the Die at the End books, it's more of you get a warning 24 hours before. So I really enjoyed this, and now I'm want to think about planning that video. But I also just started Elysium Girls. The only thing I knew about this is that it was dystopian in some way. I also realized the author's name is Kate Pentecost, which, as an evangelical Pentecostal, and you live in Texas, apparently the author lives in Texas. Were or are you Pentecostal? This also is historical fiction, which I did not realize, but it's very obvious within the first like 2 pages of the book. I'll read the one quote that got me. Is one day, like, half of the cities disappear, and there's like an invisible wall put up against their town in 1935. April 14th, 1935. And then the bold text on page like 2 is the goddess of life and death. The goddess's life and death have begun a game. They've given you exactly 10 years to build your city, no more, no less. During those years, you will be put aside 1/3 of your crops for us every year. We will return at sunset on the final day to judge you. If we judge your society good and responsible, despite your difficulties, then life has won and your society will continue. If your society has been irresponsible, then death has won the game, and every man, woman, and child shall be slain. Does that not also give you Dungeon Crawler Carl vibes, for those of you who have read it? Because that's basically what happens at the very beginning of that book. Of these aliens, or in this case gods, come to the world and go, hey, we're going to take you over unless you do this specific thing. I've read 10 pages and I'm already loving it. It's also set in Texas. I'm also hoping that it's queer in some way, but I have no indication that it actually is, besides the fact that I freaking love this cover. But yeah, that's my plan for, I think this will be the last book that I read in this vlog, and then I'll start another one for the week after. But we're on a really good roll for the videos for this vlog. Sometimes this mic just does not want to connect, but I think I figured it out. I hope I figured it out, because we're going to film this clip anyway. I just woke up from an accidental nap, but earlier I finished Elysium Girls. I also think in my last clip that I said this was set in Texas. It's not. It's set in Oklahoma during the Dust Bowl, but with a very fantasy twist. And I actually really like this. I also am happy to report that there was gay stuff in here. Mostly just girls having crushes on each other, but in the deep south, the panhandle of Oklahoma in 1930, it's all I could have asked for. I also really liked a lot of the commentary in this about like what it means to actually give a shit about your people, and if people are working for what they think is the greater good but they're actually treating people like crap in the process. I kind of, part of me really wants to do an entire video on this. I gave this 4 stars. Let's start there. Like 4.5 stars. This is this author's debut. It has so much commentary about like religion and just like equality and all of the things that we weren't talking about very much in 1935, at least not in the grand scheme of the world or in especially the United States. And I thought it was really fun. I thought it was a nice backdrop with the whole Elysium being basically a game board for these gods. There's a lot of commentary on that. I really enjoyed it, like way more than I thought I was going to. I will say the pacing was a little bit off. I also thought the like mechanical horses that they made, which is what is on this cover, were so fun and such a good idea. And I really, really love the ending. There was definitely some pacing issues and a little bit of like clunky writing, but other than that, I thought this was a fantastic debut, and I'm looking forward to finding her other book. I think she's written one other book since this, when this came out. So if you've never heard of this, like I haven't, please go check this out if it's available at the library, if you can find a copy of it. I think it's well worth the read, and I think it's going to end up in my queer book recommendations. It might even end up on my like shout outs at the end of the year, if not the main favorite books, then a honorable mention if nothing else. But this is the last book on my list for this vlog. If you stick around, I will be reading the last Dungeon Crawler Carl that's out right now, so the 7th one, and then the 8th one in my next vlog, which will hopefully be up in the next week or two. But I hope you all enjoyed this. Let me know if you're going to end up going to pick up Elysium Girls, if you can find it at your library, because I think more people should read it. I think it only has like 300 some reviews on Goodreads, which is tragic because this came out in like 2020, I think. 2020. But I highly recommend this. This was a nice surprise, and I also feel like I really enjoyed all 3 of the books that I read for this video, which rarely ever happens. So yeah, that's the end of this vlog. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have nothing else to say, leave me the fire emoji in the comments down below. But thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you guys next time.